Today, we are doing a deep dive into RealSync's newest platform, Business Intelligence, with Scott Sillari. In case you missed the last interview I did with Scott, was actually two, I'm going to put them both in the description below. Business Intelligence provides done-for-you tracking and integration, but no tech skills required. That is something that people are worried about with other business intelligence platforms and dashboards, is you have to have a lot of tech skills. You have to know how to create the dashboards. Good news is you don't have to do that. So business intelligence allows you to allows you to instantly review business data, make informed decisions, know exactly what to do with the data. It's not just a pretty dashboard. You go, oh, great, now what? And it allows you to accelerate your growth. So with that said, we will dive straight in with Scott, starting with Scott at a high level overview. What exactly is business intelligence and the core functionalities and reason behind the platform?
Hi, great. Awesome question to start. Yeah, I think from a high level, it's kind of something you kind of mentioned, but you see data all day. There's data in your CRM, there's data everywhere. But it's like, should I be paying attention to this number? And what is my action step to either improve it, change it? Like, how do I look at it, right? And I think that's been one of the big things that there's so many technology systems out there and it's overwhelming. We know that, right? But I think the big thing is like, what do I do? Right. And with the CRM, like Follow Boss, which is great, it's like, and what you do for the clients is you do a lot of the action. You set up a lot of the action for the clientele. So they essentially, so that stuff's being done for them, right? We take some of that data out of the system, put it into like a very clean dashboard and reports, and then say, hey, like, let's look at this. Let's give you a conversion around these numbers so you know what you're doing. And let's recommend like what to do based on those conversions, right? Or those thresholds, or, are you calling every lead in less than 5 minutes? Are those converting at a higher level than leads that you don't call for a day, right? Or that get forgotten? Are you proactively managing opportunities in your pipeline that could be slipping through the cracks, or are they just slipping through the cracks because you don't know what's happening? So just a lot of these different things where it's like, obviously the first thing is like understanding your data and seeing it, but then reading between the lines. So that's what we're doing. And we've started doing with this new business intelligence solution is obviously first step always is get accurate data into any sort of solution, especially if you're taking it from Follow Boss, right? And we've created some really cool customization around how people use Follow Boss because everyone uses a little different. So we wanted to make sure that we kept that integrity of the behavior of that particular business when they are using Follow Boss. And so we can ingest the data based on how they use it. And we don't have to ask them to change unless they're doing something really stupid. And then we ask them to change how they're doing it.
Yeah.
But if you're using it as it's intended, we don't ask you to change it. And then once we get the data in, we go, all right, let's read between the lines of this data so that you can make actionable decisions.
Yeah. And the answer might be just Follow Boss, but what platforms does business intelligence pull data from?
So right now, Follow Boss and QuickBooks Online. So we built a financial dashboard as well for those that are using QuickBooks to really see. Basically it pulls in real time like your data off of P&L, which I don't know if you've ever been in QuickBooks Online, but you have to like pull a report and like kind of read through it to understand it. And so we're doing that real time into a nice view, and it gives you a good breakdown of where your business actually is at, and like what your runway is and what your trailing 12 months looks like, year over year and month over month. And I think year to date over year to date, like it has some really good comparative numbers in there. So you can see like how you're doing right now compared to last year or last quarter or whatever. So we have that. And then everything else coming from Follow Boss right now, as you know, Elena, the CRMs in the real estate space, other ones at least, aren't the best. So especially when it comes to their APIs, and I'm not afraid to say that. So a lot of them, their APIs, you can't get a lot of data out of it. So it doesn't really make sense. So I'm not going to name names, but there's some where it's like, we can go and like see that an agent made a phone call, but we can't get any like transaction data out of there, or we can't get appointment data out of there unless we like rig the system and like they apply a tag or something silly. So it's like, it doesn't really make sense for us to go to the other CRMs before we add some more transaction management systems, which we'll be doing in the future.
Yeah. And I know you'll dive into this when you start sharing your screen, but since you are pulling data from both Follow Boss and QuickBooks, are you kind of melding both platforms together to kind of show, okay, based on the activity of Follow Boss and the end result of the revenue you're bringing in and reporting in QuickBooks, like these are the activities that are resulting into the revenue, and you're kind of creating these sort of like predictable activities to result in your revenue?
Yeah, that's great that you bring that up. So not yet, but yes, that is coming, and that's the plan with any system we connect. Is like it's like you start here, and then you end up here. How did we get there, and what do I need to be looking at, and what adjustments can I make to improve this final result, right? And so right now we just have it in its own page that it's pulling in that financial data. We are planning in the process. We have a lot coming out this summer where we're correlating all the data that's in the tool and then adding a lot more business intelligence with it, especially with the agent app as we release the agent app. So right now it's just like an owner dashboard. I mean, anyone can log into it, right? But you're seeing all your agent data, but it's more for the owner view, like for one-on-ones, things like that. That's how you would use it for right now. We have the agent application coming out where the agent will have an app on their phone. They'll see all their KPIs and all their at-risk data. And I'll kind of go through what that means at risk, to where they're having notifications as well, like what they need to be doing in order to either hit their goals that you set within the dashboard or just to stay on top of what they need to be doing, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I would love to see if you're open to sharing your screen.
Sure.
What type of, like you mentioned on the website in our conversations, you're trying to identify gaps within business operations. What kind of gaps would we be looking for that would be sort of red flags? Is this something that you are training your users to look for, or is the platform pointing these out for them?
Good question. So there's a few different things that we're building in parallel, to start pinpointing the things that are the gaps, as you mentioned, or the at-risk type data, right? So, and I'll be quick. Everyone understands what pending and closed volume is, right? This is all pulling from the deals pipeline in Follow Boss right now. Okay, so if you're inputting it there, we're grabbing it there. There is a drill down feature to where you can click on it and actually see like what's making up this number. And the transactions are here, and then you can click back actually to the lead and Follow Boss, which is pretty cool. So it pulls all the data in like a graph here, or a chart, essentially. And so, that's just that, pending and closed data. This is your overview page as the owner, right? This is one of the first like kind of business intelligent things we rolled out, which is like our at-risk section, and it will expand over time. And basically this is what we were just talking about, Elena, is like the read between the lines type stuff. So this section we really like to get out of the gate is you can set thresholds on what you expect. Like when you set an appointment, how long should it stay in that stage before it moves to met? Like what's your threshold as a business? Should it be 5 days, a week, 10 days before you're like, why hasn't this moved? Why hasn't it moved to met, or why is it not moved out to nurture or to a different stage, right? So you could put those numbers in for days for each stage. And then if it goes over, it will populate into here for you as the owner to take a look at it and go, all right, like why do I have, these numbers obviously are, it's demo data, right? So not super accurate probably compared to like your actual situation, but you would look in here and go, all right, like why is this 43 days overdue? Or maybe it's 3 days overdue, right? And then you look at the deal, and it allows you to take a proactive approach of, hey, like let's look at these opportunities potentially before they start slipping through the cracks with your agent, and go over like, why is this in this stage still? Why is it overdue? What can we do about it? How do we prevent this from falling through? If it is, or maybe it's just maybe you're just identifying the fact that the agent just didn't move it, right? So it could be a lot of things, but at least it's calling your attention to it. So it's not something that you're looking at in 90 days going, why is all this stuff messed up? right? And so that's kind of the idea. This is like one of the first steps we had of like, how do we pull your attention towards things that you should be looking at to make sure that you're not missing opportunities or deals, you know? This next section, everything's done by date here, but the next section is your KPIs. Pretty straightforward. If it's been into one of these stages within that time frame, these are the numbers you're looking at. And again, you can drill it down and see like what makes up those numbers, right? As far as the lead, phone number, email, it's all clickable. And then the lead source, who's assigned to, what stage it's actually in. So this other section here I really like, and this is another kind of business intelligence type thing, is we are going to infer data. So one of the big things that when we're talking to a lot of teams is they, again, if the agent's not doing what they're supposed to do with moving that deal through the pipeline, or they just happen to start the deal at pending because they went through all the steps and didn't schedule the appointment, they didn't do those things in Follow-Up Boss for whatever reason, we know it had to happen. They had to have talked to this person. They had to have gotten an agreement at some point to get it to pending, right? So we're going to infer that data and count it towards your numbers to make sure that your numbers are accurate on what's actually happening in your business. And then the other thing too is if you see a lot of inferred data on a particular agent, it gives you an opportunity to go talk to them and go, hey, what's going on? Why are you not like using Follow-Up Boss correctly? Like, why are you not updating your deals and like putting them in, right? So that's another thing that we really like. And then these conversion metrics here, you don't get these a lot in different systems. So it's like, we have a calculation to show you exactly what makes up this calculation from lead to closed, lead to set to met to agreement, and then agreement to closed. So we're calculating this for you. You will be able to drill this down as well. But right now it kind of shows you what makes those numbers to give you that ratio and where you're at. And again, ideally you have an understanding or an idea of what these numbers should be. And eventually you'll be able to put these, put numbers in here to where you have a comparative data here. And then communication summary, pretty straightforward. Pulling data out of Follow-Up Boss. So if you're using it, you're going to get it here. Talk time as well. And then we have a leaderboard that gives you a good amount of details, and you can adjust the ranking based on whatever you want to see here. So volume or GCI or whatever, right? So this is your overview page. As an owner, I recommend when people are coming in here, look at it for 10 minutes in the morning, get a view, understand what's going on. That's it. It doesn't take long,
Yeah, nice pretty overview, different dashboards, and kind of gives you an overview of everything that you would want to see for your entire business.
Yeah. So I'll jump to 2 more pages real quick. Lead source report. We found a lot were lacking in giving you conversion metrics and ROI in particular lead sources, especially per agent, which I'll show you as well. But basically you can come in here and create a spending report on any lead source. And you just put in how much you're spending per month, the frequency, start date. There's an end date, or you can just say until canceled. And then you can have multiple spending reports. So if hey, during January, February, I'm not spending as much on Facebook, but, March through July, I spend a lot more. You can schedule the spending ahead. And what will happen is it will start to, show you conversion numbers, GCI. It'll show you some ROI eventually. I don't know, my numbers are skewed, but it'll show you ROI, how much you're spending, if you have a spending schedule on certain lead sources. So it all starts to calculate automatically, which is really cool. And then the company financials we mentioned earlier, QuickBooks Online. So this is a view of what it does. And it should populate here the data in a second. There we go. So it gives you, net, GCI, profit, total expenses, cost of sale, and it gives it to you over the previous 12 months. And then it will show you these gross profit margin, last month, year over year, net, year to date, year over year, gross profit and net, and your GCI, total cost, expenses, operating income. And then it gives you a cash balance runway here as well, based on your totals, which is pretty cool. So That's it. And then the last page, and I won't spend too much time here, but it's pretty straightforward. Basically it's all the data that we had as a total, but you can get granular with each agent, and it has your production activity, conversion metrics, but for each agent. So you can select the agent and time frame, and it's a really cool place to do like a one-on-one. And we actually have an update coming, which I'm excited about. It's going to be more of like an agent scorecard, where it actually, like, you can click on the agent's avatar face and it'll like pop up and just show you everything that they're doing. So you can sit there and just review it with them.
Very nice. Do you have any sort of like recommended performances that agents should do, or recommended even like on the lead source report, based on either other accounts you're tracking without giving away, secrets from other accounts, but any sort of recommendation like other teams, spend this much and this is their conversion rate and this is what we recommend for activities, or
Like,
you're below average or whatever it is, anything like that.
yeah, we do. We haven't like wired it in per se into the solution. Um, but yeah, there's certainly conversion there's conversion ratios on certain lead sources that you should be hitting, right? And I think like it's anywhere from like 3 to 10 depending on the lead source, right? And Zillow leads. So my business partner told me the other day that like I think, yeah, Zillow leads, he was getting, I think, a 60 or 70% appointment set ratio, which is very high, right? So it really is lead source dependent, Elena. I certainly could, get all the numbers from some of the top producers. And I think we probably will like wire that into the tool at some point, to where like, hey, if you don't know what your goal is or what your, your profit should be, like, what we have this baseline based on industry standards that you should be trying to achieve, right? Most people are putting goals in on that front overview page that they want to hit, whether it's like dial goals, over a month, or revenue goals that they have, so the owner's able to put those in. But yeah, I don't know any, like, I don't know. There's so many different ones off the top of my head. I don't know. To be honest with
Yeah.
you, like
Yeah, the
what
list,
some
I
of this.
mean, just that one demo account you showed, the list is huge of lead sources.
Yeah. That's crazy, right? And there's so many variables with lead sources. It's like, are you calling them too? Have you called them one time?
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. So like, there's a lot that you have to factor in when you would put in some sort of standardized like percent. There's a lot of assumptions you have to make, right, around that as well.
Yeah.
Assuming you're calling within 5 minutes, that you're getting a certain amount of those leads, right? And then what does that conversion look like over time?
Yeah. Not only calling, but your skill set to handle the conversations if they do pick up the phone.
Yeah, that too, right?
Yeah. And last question, well, two more questions. You had
Sure.
mentioned a number of features that you're working on with business intelligence. Do you have like some
Yeah.
sort of like roadmap that people can follow of the feature build outs you're working on?
Yes. So there's two new features coming. Well, there's a lot of new features, but ones that are coming specific towards the business intelligence stuff are like speed the lead, and then how that, as we get that data in, how that reflects in the lead sources and then the conversion rates. Okay. So when an agent gets assigned a lead, we'll be tracking that, and then like what the activity level is on that particular lead. And that will be something, not only will we have recommended, data on like, or thresholds on that, but also you'd be able to dictate it as well, like you were able to do with the at-risk section I showed you. So you'll have thresholds in there that you can put in. And then when the agent app comes, there'll be notifications that the agents will be getting as well, right? And then one of the other things I didn't show you, and I always forget, and I don't know how much time. Do we have a few more minutes? Maybe?
Sure.
Yep. Okay. So one of the things that we're building in parallel is a virtual AI assistant that also will give you feedback on all the data, and more enticing, will be able to read between the lines of she'll be able to read between the lines of like what's actually in your platform and give you feedback. So can you tell me what a good conversion rate is from, dials to appointments set on Zillow leads?
I think you're just sharing screen, but not audio. So I see her mouth moving, but I don't think you're sharing audio.
Sorry, you can't hear it? It said audio is on. Okay. Anyway,
But
I can try
I
again.
trust that she's telling the best answer in the world.
It was a good answer. Said I don't know specifically about Zillow, but 5 to 10% is the ratio that from dial to appointment set that most teams are looking for, right?
Yeah.
So the idea with the bot is that it will be able to, like, we don't need to show every single granular like ratio in the tool because it'll be overwhelming. It'll be too much. We're trying to keep it simple. But when you come in as an owner, you're going to get, we're going to have it dialed into where it's giving you a summary every time you log in of what's happened since the previous login, and then what things need to be looking at that are off, what agents high performing and which ones not, and why. So it's very exciting. And then the roadmap with that, with features, is where you can task it to do stuff with in any system that we're connected to through the API. So
Very nice.
yeah.
Love it. Sounds very cool. All right. Well, I won't keep you any longer. Thank you, Scott, for sharing more information about business intelligence. And if you are interested in learning more about the platform, I will put a link to RealSync's website below. And I think, can people schedule a demo if they go to your website?
Yeah, we want people to get on a call with us. There's no like sign up yourself and set it up, because it is a little custom. We want you just to get on a call and talk through it with us. All right. Make sure we can really help you.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense.
Cool.
All right. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Elena. Appreciate it.